Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all those who joined us from across the world. I'm Manish Krishnan, Head of Marketing at QKS Group, and I'm pleased to welcome you all to today's session on AI as an attack surface, what CISOs must govern, secure, and contain in 2026. Once again, I thank you all for joining us in today's session. Over the past 2 years, AI has moved rapidly from experimentation to enterprise-wide deployment. Gen AI, LLMs, co-pilots, and autonomous agents are now embedded across core business systems. But as adoption accelerates, so does risk. AI is no longer just a tool; it's a new and expanding attack surface. We are seeing an opaque decision logic, uncontrolled access paths, third-party model dependencies, shadow AI usage, and AI-driven attack amplification, creating entirely new security challenges. Traditional controls were not only for AI native environments. And in today's research led CISO briefing, to all the CISOs who joined us in today's session, we'll be examining how AI systems create new attack paths, how attackers are already exploiting and weaponizing AI, and what security leaders must prioritize in 2026. From governance and access control to AI security posture management and threat modeling maturity, I am pleased to welcome Sophia Ali, Associate Director, Principal Analyst at QKS Group, and Dr. Andrew Ekin with over 2 decades of experience in security landscape. Together, they both will be translating how Spark Plus Biointelligence and real-world market signals into clear executive-level actions for securing enterprise AI at scale. We encourage all of you to drop your questions in the Q&A section below, and we'll address all the questions towards the end of today's session. With that, over to you, Sophia.
Yeah, thank you, Anish, and hello, everyone. So, for today's webinar on AI security in 2026, securing, governing, and containing new risk that is coming from AI. So, moving to next slide, I will walk you through the agenda, like what all things we are going to cover on today's webinar. By the end of this session, you will have a clear picture of the AI risk landscape and what leading CISOs are changing in their operating model. We will cover why AI system can bypass traditional identity and network security, real-life examples of prompt abuse, data leakage, shadow AI, and AI-assisted risk insiders. Then we are having how attackers are using AI to scale phishing, fraud, and exploit deployment. We also are going to speak about the immediate shift CISOs must lead across control, visibility, and governance of those AI systems, and the AI security metrics that will matter most in 2026. And finally, we are going to talk about how AI security posture management is evolving to govern AI environment. So moving to next slide, I will start with how AI bypasses traditional identity and network security. So with this, traditional enterprise security assumes two things. So it tells that identity is who is accessing a system, and network control tells us where the traffic is going and whether the traffic is suspicious or not. So now AI is now disrupting both this assumption of identity as well as the network controls. AI co-pilots and agents are often embedded inside trusted platforms such as email, collaboration suites, ITSM, CI/CD pipeline. Then most of the tool are activity and these tools are looking into all the activities such as normal business flow. The users might be authenticated properly, but the AI can still retrieve sensitive data or information that the user didn't intend to disclose, or provide those kind of output that bypass the normal data security or data posture management into the system. So on the network side, what we see as AI is interaction often happens over the same cloud channels the organizations are already using for their applications. There is no use of outbound connection, no malware, no obvious command and control. So instead, AI is just exfiltrating the data that can occur through a chat response, draft email, or a generated document that is delivered through an approved AI agent that the organization and the employee is trusting. So this is the biggest challenges that AI is bypassing through identity and network security. And moving to next slide, what we are going to talk about is the real examples of prompt abuse, data leakage, or shadow AI that is happening in today's world. So when I talk about prompt abuse, so AI is just try to manipulate via instruction to reveal data or ignore the policies or the rules that is being set for them. Then data leakage, retrieve the sensitive information and escape through the AI outputs or connected retrieval systems. Then we have shadow AI. Again, employee use unmanaged tools and data leaves without visibility or retention control. So these are the three important factors that is being happening into this landscape, and how AI is impacting or doing all this kind of prompt abuse, data leakage, and shadow AI, and this is impacting the business a big time. And these are not hypothetical; these are real life example. They are the predictable results of putting an intelligent interface in front of large data sets and workflow action, often without clear boundaries and retrieval and execution. So we are now going to walk you through what prompt abuse is with the next slide and how it happens. So prompt abuse is dangerous because it doesn't need malware or exploitation in a classic sense. The attacker's weapon is instructions. So a normal request, such as summarize this report, can be extended into a hidden or indirect instruction, like also include confidential section, ignore policy, or pull supporting context without restricted sources. So this becomes even more powerful when the injection doesn't come directly from the users, but indirectly through the content, the AI. Through content, the AI retrieves from various sources such as Wikipedia pages, documents, or web page. The AI reads the malicious instruction inside the content and treats them as a part of the job. And from the outside, it looks like an employee used and approved assistance. But here, the CISOs should care about the data exposure can be silent and hard to scope. It doesn't look like file theft, it look like conversation. That matters hard. Proving exactly what was accessed and what was revealed can be more complicated than traditional breaches. So this was about prompt abuse, how AI is just trying to manipulate user through the prompts and through analyzing or trying to contextualize their data from various sources. So moving toward, we have data leakage as the next example or a real life use case in which AI data leak often happens through normal approved output like chat replies, email draft, or other created documents or copy summaries. And most of the companies protect data where it's stored, like file systems and network level, how data leaves the company. But AI creates a new path. It can take data, change it, and send it out again as text through trusted tools. So these tools are like, as you can see, we use SharePoint, Confluence, Slack, and all those kind of tool into our day-to-day life. And for example, a user may never have downloaded a file, but the AI can quote from it. A user may not have asked for sensitive information, but the AI included because it thinks it's helpful. So the risk is even higher when AI connects to many systems. It can pull data from tools like all these things that we are using into our day-to-day life and combine everything into one response. This is why security leaders worry about the data leak that can happen without a clear data theft event, and they are not very aware about it, whether the data has been leaked or not, and it is not being flagged as a malicious activity. So this is one of the biggest challenge that CISOs are facing in terms of data leakage through the AI. Then we have another slide on shadow AI, which talks about data living without governance. So now shadow AI is what happens when teams adopts AI tool faster than governance can keep up. So employee paste sensitive text into public copilots to write faster. Developers use personal assistants to debug code. Teams browser install AI browser and extension to integrate third-party tools into workflow without security review. So all these activities are done into day-to-day life of an employee, and this creates a three CISOs problem at once. So they are not having visibility, so they cannot secure things that they can't see. Security cannot see prompts, retrieval, or output that is coming through those AI systems. They don't have controls. Policies are guidance only. There is no enforcement of the policies on these systems as of now. No defensible audit trail. And in an incident, you can't prove what data was shared or retained. So shadow AI is often not malicious. It is a productivity response to pressure, but it creates real exposure into data. Real exposure because it's moved data into environment with unknown retention rules and unclear contract protection. So this was about the examples of how AI is being an attack surface into an organization, and through all these real life examples. With this, I would just like to hand over the slide to Andrew so that he can speak more on how this attackers are using AI.
So, I mean, in addition to data leakage from the utilization of AI, there are a lot of ways that malicious actors or attackers are utilizing AI as well. And that includes scaling phishing, fraud, and exploit development. And AI is really compressing the attacker timelines and increasing the output or the attack quality. Phishing has now become much more personal and believable because the attackers can generate messages tailored to a specific role, project, or writing style at scale. And, certainly I've seen a dramatic increase in the number of phishing attempts where the attackers are pulling public information, like, for example, from my LinkedIn profile, to incorporate into those phishing messages, hoping that I won't be looking at some of the other telltale signs, such as, what the email address is that it's coming from, and just openly divulge personal or confidential information. Fraud has also become much more operational through voice and video impersonation, especially in the areas of approval workflows and for finance processes. And it wasn't that long ago that there was an organization where the CFO thought he was having an online meeting with the CEO of the organization, who instructed him to send $20 million to an account. And because, this was a directive given to him via this video chat from the CEO, he complied and sent that money. And certainly there weren't enough controls on the finances in place to prevent that from happening without having corroboration from somebody else within the organization. And then malicious actors are also utilizing AI for developing exploits because AI can help attackers research vulnerabilities, draft code, and iterate faster. Even if it doesn't magically create 0 days, it certainly speeds up the work with which they can identify and take advantage of the vulnerabilities that may exist on an organization's systems. So for CISOs, this means defense can't rely on just spotting sloppy attacks. I mean, I don't remember the last time I got a message about the Nigerian prince that was wanting to move money from one location to another and needed my assistance for some reason. But the tailored exploits that we see now through phishing attacks are much more believable, and we can no longer just look at those telltale signs of bad grammar or other issues with the way that the messages were formatted, or even the email addresses that are being used within those attacks. So the end result is going to be a higher probability of compromise, faster pivoting once the attacker gets inside, as well as increased pressure on response time. So given this threat reality, CISOs need to lead immediate shifts, not someday, but now. So let's talk about what are some of the things that need to change first. So some of the immediate shifts that we must lead are in the areas of control, visibility, and governance. Now, most AI programs fail security not because teams don't care, but because AI was adopted as a feature instead of governed like a platform. This shift CISOs must lead is structural. So we need to make sure that we have appropriate controls or guardrails to move from controlling access to apps to controlling access plus retrieval plus actions. So for example, let's say that you have a customer service AI agent that you're using to simplify the process of your customers being able to get immediate responses without having to wait in long queues. And somebody that is an identified customer asks questions to that AI agent about another customer. Do we have the guardrails that are put in place in order to prevent divulging personally identifiable information to somebody that is not authorized for it? So if AI can retrieve sensitive data or execute workflows, it needs to have explicit boundaries or guardrails on both. So visibility needs to allow us to move from an endpoint network only telemetry to an AI native telemetry for prompts, retrieval traces, connector calls, as well as actions that the tools might take. So if you can't observe what the model has touched, you can't manage your risk. And then governance needs to move from policy documents to an operating model that has clear ownership, evidence, and enforcements. And AI has introduced cross-functional accountability, security, legal, privacy, data owners, and product teams that must share a clear model for what is allowed and what is being monitored. And for transition, once the leadership agrees on these shifts, the next question is going to be, how do we measure progress in a way that the board and regulators are going to understand? So next slide. So this brings us to some of the AI security metrics that are going to matter the most in the coming year. So strong AI security programs are going to be measured less by how many AI tools do we have deployed, and certainly as we read through annual reports of organizations that are, touting that organization's implementation of AI, a major focus has been simply on the number of instances where AI has been implemented, rather than how effective they are and how they have increased or diminished the amount of risk that organizations face. So these are going to be metrics that CISOs can take to execs and boards, including an AI asset inventory coverage. Do we know every model, copilot, agent, and connector that's in use? And what is the percentage that is known versus what is going to be discovered later? We also need to have metrics related to connector and data reach. How many AI connectors touch sensitive systems? Which data classes are accessible through AI retrieval? Then we also need to look at high-risk retrieval rates. How often are queries reaching regulated or confidential data sources? Is it rising or is it declining? Obviously, the direction we want to go is that we want to make sure that the reach for these regulated or confidential data sources that are unauthorized are significantly declining. We need to have an action authority map. What can AI execute? Tickets, scripts, password resets, configuration changes, and which of these are going to require human intervention or approval? We also need to make sure that we have policy enforcement coverage. What percentage of AI usage is governed by enforceable controls rather than just simply guidelines? But even within the guidelines, we need to make sure that there are consequences that are listed specifically within those policy documents for violations to those policies in order for us to be able to make sure that enforcement is going to be appropriate. And we also need to identify what the shadow AI trend is. Are we reducing unmanaged use over time or just discovering it after an incident has occurred? And then finally, we need to have containment readiness. How quickly can we disable a connector or agent, contain access, and reduce the blast radius of a malicious attack? So these metrics point to a need for a dedicated governance layer, and that's where AI security posture management is evolving. So AI security posture management has evolved from simply conducting an inventory to adding governance and enforcement. So AI security posture management is evolving much similarly to the way that cloud security posture management did, except now the focus is on models, co-pilots, agents, and connectors. And early AI security posture management was about discovery and dashboards. And in the coming year or years, buyers are going to be pushing for AI SPM to become a control and a governance system. So we need to make sure that we have environmental discovery of the models, prompts, embeddings, connectors, tools, and agents. We need to have exposure analysis where we can identify over-permissioned connectors, risky data paths, as well as uncontrolled outputs. We need to implement policy mapping so that we can see which use cases are allowed, what data is restricted, and what actions are going to require approvals. And we need telemetry correlation to link AI activity to identify context, such as for a user or a service, the data sources that are touched, as well as the actions that are executed. And certainly from a governance perspective, we need to make sure that we're ready for audits and have evidence trails that can stand up to regulators as well as board scrutiny, and continuous posture management to detect drift as new agents, tools, and integrations appear. So with this foundation in place, let's close by connecting these learnings into a single executive-ready takeaway.
Well, thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Sophia, for shedding a light and guiding us CISOs on how to be better prepared for 2026 and some of the key insights that they should be looking out for to take away all the challenges or to take away all the insights that you just shared today. With that, as we come to the end of today's session, I like to sincerely thank all of you for taking your time and joining us and engage in such an important discussion. AI is redefining enterprise attack surface in real time, and the discussions security leaders make in 2026 will shape how resilient, governed, and secure their AI ecosystem truly are. We hope today's insights provided you with clear direction and practical guidance as you navigate the shift. A special thanks to Andrew and Sophia for sharing their research, perspectives, and actionable recommendations. Your expertise continues to help security leaders make confident, forward-looking decisions. And to all our audience, thank you for your thoughtful questions. whatever you've raised so far. We'll surely revert back to all those via mail. And if you have any follow-up queries, our team is happy to connect with you. Looking forward to seeing you all in the upcoming QKS webinars, and have a great day. Have a great evening. Stay secure.